Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Florida.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to South Florida. It's the Blue Jays and the Marlins wrapping up a three-game set, wrapping up the interleague portion of the schedule for the Marlins. A rainy day here in South Florida, but fortunately we are under the roof, so we will all get to see the big league debut of Jeff Brigham. He was out here early. Nobody else in the dugout, ready to go. Amazing. So he has certainly pitched his way to the big league roster, and as the rosters expand in September, he gets his opportunity. Inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth will get to bring him in just a second. But first, the Marlins have a chance to win this series, which is very nice, especially after how Friday went.
Well, they're playing better baseball, and a great bounce-back game, I think, for the Marlins yesterday. They came out, they scored some runs early. Of course, the starting pitching has been fantastic. So Brigham's he's got to live up to what he's seen
right.
The first two games in this series, which is 8 strong innings for both Straley and Chen. That is exactly what set the tone for the win last night, which I believe is going to be a series win against the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, you mentioned the early run. The Marlins scored in the first inning of last night's game. They also got a big hit in the middle innings last night. Martin Prado fresh off the disabled list. He'd been waiting a while to come back, and he made his presence felt with a bases-clearing double.
Yeah, I think this is going to be such a big month for Martin Prado. He's so important to this ball club, obviously on and off the field. But over the last couple of seasons, we've seen a little bit more off than on. But when he's on this year, there's been big moments like last night. You see a great play at first base there. That's great athleticism. See him sky high and go up and get it. And, of course, the big base hit, which emptied the bases loaded. There you go. Drives it into that left center field gap. Great swing there. Great game planning, in fact, against Estrada. So a big moment for him. You certainly like to see more of that today.
Of course, Martin Prado is a seasoned vet. The two starting pitchers going today, hardly that. Between the two of them and us, 2 major league starts between Sean Reed-Foley and Jeff Brigham, who makes his major league debut and really busted down the door, pitching at 3 different levels this year at 2.36 ERA.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I think it speaks to the story of the Marlins right now. You pitch well, there's an opportunity. Credit to Jeff for stepping into his opportunity this season and earning this start today. You've heard nothing but gratitude since the minute he got here yesterday about how excited he is for this start and what being part of the Marlin organization means. Now he's going to get to do it in front of the spotlight.
And he will do it as part of a 6-man rotation, but as Holly mentioned before, just keep the line moving. Straley 8 strong, Chen 8 strong, and how about a big league debut coming up next? We'll check in with Kelly Sacco after the break.
Thanks, Paul. Well, one of the most exciting parts about September baseball are September call-ups, and one of the September call-ups, Jeff Brigham, is making his major league debut today. And once the decision is made to call up a player, the coaches like to have a little fun with how they deliver the big news.
Well, my family flew into New Orleans last night to watch me throw today in New Orleans, and they came in. I was charting, and my pitching coach told me I did a bad job on the chart, and I needed to talk to him. And he came up to me, and he was in the manager's office, and Arnie told me, the manager in New Orleans, told me that that I'm throwing on Sunday and I'm going to need a new ball, and he handed me a big league ball. And I went out and told my family, and lots of crying, and then my dad's in the background like, yeah, give me a fist pound. So I was like, it was a pretty cool experience to share with my family.
What a great moment. I'm sure there might be a few more tears in the stands here today. Just family. We'll be here. We'll catch up with them a little later today. Back to you guys, Paul.
All right, Kelly, looking forward to it. The series finale with the Blue Jays and the Marlins, the rubber match, trying to start this homestand with a winning series. Back in a moment. Brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your South Florida Ford dealers. Rain in the area throughout the morning and early afternoon. Roof closed, windows closed for the season and series finale. Only 3 games against the Toronto Blue Jays. And also wrapping up the interleague portion of the 2018 campaign as we are into the second day of September. Jeff Brigham makes his major league debut. Here is a look at the Blue Jays starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Billy McKinney back in the top spot. Got an off night last night. Kendrys Morales is over there at first base. We've seen Morales and Smoke kind of swapping on and off these 3 games, but either way, these guys have been providing the power for Toronto. And Randall Grichuk, who has been hot the last couple of weeks for the Jays, will clean things up. And Luke Maile behind the plate, and he will catch Sean Reed Foley, who is making his 3rd big league start. So a seasoned vet compared to Jeff Brigham, who makes his major league debut here on a Sunday afternoon at Marlins Park.
Well, Brigham has had a nice season. 2.36 ERA in the minor leagues. He's got a big arm. to see the four-seam fastball today, 94 to 96, the slider in that 83-84 range, along with a good changeup. Numbers we're showing you there from New Orleans. It's a big moment for him, but he's earned it. 6 foot tall, 200 pounds.
Families here. They thought they'd watch him pitch in New Orleans. Go a little further south. Take it. Big league debut.
Born in Federal Way, Washington, from the other side of the country. This is a big day for him and his family. Get to see everybody here.
The 1-0 pitch to Billy McKinney is ripped foul down the right field line. A ball and a strike. Came over to the Marlins in the trade that sent Matt Latos and Michael Morse to the Dodgers back in July of 2015. Certainly pitched well across 3 levels, as Holly mentioned. And as the Marlins go to a 6-man rotation, they're able to get his arm in there. Last 7 games for McKinney, 10 for 24, a couple of home runs and 5 doubles. Cut on and missed. McKinney, a guy who did not start the season in the Jays organization, came over from the New York Yankees in the deal that sent Jay Happ to the Bronx. Just a little outside.
He's tried a couple of times with backdoor breaking ball. It's a good pitch. Just off the edge, put it where he wanted.
Payoff pitch on the way. McKinney fouls it off.
Well, for Brigham, if he was paying attention, well, certainly last night, how this ballpark plays. When you watch him, if he does fall behind, expect him to try to dial up low and away. Of course, these Blue Jay hitters out of the middle of the plate.
A line drive into center field, a base hit for McKinney to begin the afternoon.
Let's get you the Marlins defensively for this afternoon's ball game. We're taking back in there, playing left field today. Brinson gets the start in center field. Sierra over in right. Anderson, Riddle, Castro, and JT Realmuto getting the start at first base. His 8th start at first this season. Jed Wallach behind the plate, making his 9th start, first since April 15th.
And you'd wonder if Wallach gets the start because he and Brigham work together in the minor leagues. Maybe a little bit of a security blanket.
Sure. Makes all the sense in the world. Brigham gets the start today. Wallach does as well. Day game after night game.
So Wallach back, one of the many roster moves for the Marlins. There still could be more as minor league seasons begin to wrap up. So expect to see some more players, more reinforcements in waves as September plays on. So options for a manager. It's one way to look at it, right? Options for a manager, opportunity for a young player to live the big league lifestyle for 3 or 4 weeks. Whoa, that goes flying into the netting.
A little out in front of the slider. Loses the grip. Thank goodness for that netting above the dugout.
And trampolined off. Almost got the skipper.
As I say, better the uniformed personnel than the people in the front row.
Fair enough.
More suited for defending themselves.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Devin Travis. 2 for 4 last night with a double. Last 4 games is 6 for 15. That on the heels of a 1 for 29 in the 7 games prior to that. Again, the count runs full, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I mentioned it last night. Of course, talked about the multi-hit game. He is tearing up interleague this year. Very good numbers against the National League for Travis.
Runner goes. Travis into right field. That'll fall in front of Sierra. And with the runner on the move, McKinney gets up to third.
Two-seam fastball, tails back in just a bit. Travis head down, looking to go the other way with the runner in motion, able to find some grass in right. Sierra throws that glove up. McKinney, no stopping him. You're off to the races. Whether that ball's caught or not, your obligation as base runner is to get to third base. There's no recovery there, so that ball gets down and he gets to where he needs to be, over at third.
Kendrys Morales takes a called strike. Early jam for Brigham here with back-to-back singles, first and third. Morales 21 homers, 53 RBIs. Cut on and missed. He had that 7-game home run streak about a week or so ago, longest in baseball this year, surpassing Matt Carpenter's 6-game run. 7 in a row was the longest in team history and the longest ever by a switch hitter. Takes outside, a ball and 2 strikes.
Blue Jays undoubtedly have been getting power from the guys they count on to get power from. You've seen Smoke's impact in this series, including late last night as well. He's not in the starting lineup today, but between Morales and Smoke, picked up a home run in 11 of the last 12 games. So it's either been Morales or Smoke, and somebody, one of the two, has been doing it. Go ahead and give you another look at the curveball. Good depth. That's the one pitch that certainly could be big for him today, but you know, when you factor in nervous energy, butterflies, call it whatever you will, definitely some excitement out there right now. I certainly always hope that, you know, the young ones, they kind of get through that first inning, because I'm not sure the nerves could be any bigger than they are right now, any stronger than they are right now for Brigham.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Morales, and to the first 3 hitters, Brigham has gone full. Three-two to Morales. In right field, Sierra with the catch. Tagging from third is McKinney. Throw is a little high. And up to second goes Travis.
Well, Morales gets the job done with a screaming line drive to right. Hits this so hard it kind of sets Sierra up for a strong throw home. Certainly enough on it, but way too high. And that high throw, you know, certainly not only exposes Wallach, but at the same time allows McKinney to move up. It's going to be an 89 on the throw. Sorry, not McKinney. Travis moving up to second base.
And upstairs to Randall Grichuk. So you just want that throw from Sierra to be 3 feet lower.
Well, we've seen this a few times here over the last couple of weeks. Absolutely. You've got to put yourself in the position where even if your first baseman, who happens to be JT Realmuto today, is in a position to deceive the runner a little bit, help him, you know, put him in a position to kind of maybe lock him up, if you will, because you're not looking to make it out on the bases here in the first inning. That high throw right there really was all about a play at the plate, and unfortunately it allows, you know, Travis to move up without any kind of, you know, defense from the Marlins. I mean, it's just an errant throw. We've seen a couple both from left and right. Have to clean that up. You're as likely to throw a guy out at home with the ball being down as you are trying to get it there in the air. It's the easiest read for a base runner.
3 outfield assists for Sierra and now 4 errors. Brigham tries to attack Randall Grichuk. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Grichuk is 15 of his last 37. That's a .405 batting average. 5 doubles, 3 home runs. In the cleanup spot and in center field today for Toronto.
No. Mike, what do you got? No.
Mike, meaning Mike Winters, the crew chief over at first base. Jansen Visconti is at second. Tim Timmons at third. And Mike Machlinski is behind the plate today. '25th pitch of the first inning is upstairs. And to all 4 batters, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Certainly tells you he's close. Brigham's got some good movement on the breaking pitch. He's trying to find value this inning with it, and it has served its purpose. Fastball, though, has got to get out of the middle of the plate. There it is.
Swung on and missed, and the first big league strikeout for Jeff Brigham.
Congratulations to him, and that is a huge out. Dangerous Randall Grichuk. Good swing of the bat well. He chased a breaking ball earlier in the count. This one doesn't quite back up. She gets to its mark. You kind of see Grichuk struggling to kind of get those hands through and stay through the ball. Nice pitch.
Now Lourdes Gurriel Jr. takes upstairs. So that was that slider. Don Mattingly was talking about the arsenal of Brigham yesterday. Power fastball, a slider, and they're trying to develop a third pitch.
He does have a changeup, doesn't use it too often. Probably throws it a little bit too hard. We've seen a couple already today, 87, 89.
That one didn't break.
And that's the inconsistency of the breaking ball, really, Marlins fans. What you're watching is just a young man who's dealing with first inning nerves in his first big league ball game. That's really what it comes down to, and that's what you got to get through. You got to fight through the nervous energy. We've seen some good breaking balls, and clearly that one over his head.
Called strike. Maybe a little off the inside corner, but he'll take it. 2-1 to Gurriel. Gurriel was 1 for 4 last night. Couple of strikeouts. This one popped up out to right field for Sierra. Well, Brigham had to work in the first inning, but for all intents and purposes, the 1 run not so bad. 1-0. Bottom of the first on the way. Welcome back to Marlins Park. Blue Jays and Marlins. Last of a 3-game set. JT Riddle will lead things off as we take a look at the rest of the Marlins starting lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Second game in a row that JT Riddle in the top spot, so giving it another go today is Don Mattingly. Brian Anderson behind him. JT Realmuto not behind the plate, but rather at first base. Starlin Castro had a day off yesterday, as did Rafael Ortega. Brinson back in there for the second straight day. Wallach and Sierra before Brigham, who hits 9th. Riddle in that leadoff spot yesterday, started the game with a double. He'll start this one by taking low and in. He was 2 for 3 yesterday, and he will face Sean Reed Foley this afternoon.
Making his 3rd start of the season. In fact, all of them on the road. What you're looking at are his numbers at AAA this season. He too has a live arm, as you're seeing already. Celebrated his 23rd birthday on Thursday. Just turned 23 years old. So as I mentioned, 2 starts at the big league level. Just over 9 innings of work. 13 hits, 11 runs, 9 earned. He's been hit hard this season. 4-seam fastball, slider, curveball, change.
One-two pitch on the way to Riddle. Cut on and missed for the first out.
Strikeout for out number 1. Let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report of Sean Reed Foley. Command and control, that's something to keep your eye on. Command has been an issue this season. He's averaged 3.5 walks per 9 in the minors. As I mentioned, now 9 2/3 innings. He's already walked 6, so that can be an issue today. We'll see where it goes. Control also an issue. He's allowed 4 home runs. Righties, get this, 9 for 18 against him on the season. Seek the heat. The fastball is the pitch that's been hit the hardest. 375 batting average against, 792 slugging percentage. And then the mix is really just talking about his secondary pitches. A changeup, slider, and curve. They kind of grade out as average to slightly above major league quality. What he kind of lives off of is what you're seeing right now. 4-seam fastball and the 2-seam fastball. He's got good run on it, arm side run. Secondary pitches, he gets more value in quantity than quality.
And back-to-back strikeouts for Sean Reed Foley. 2 away here in the first inning. That'll bring up JT Realmuto, who was at first base today, but of course makes his money behind home plate. NL catcher ranks first, second, first. That's the type of year that it's been for JT. It was back to swinging a hot bat for the Marlins.
And I think what's most important, certainly right about now is the perfect time to say it. We know that the Marlins have struggled this year offensively on the whole. When you talk about somebody putting up great numbers and you talk about great offenses, I'll use the Boston Red Sox as an example. You know, you've got guys like JD Martinez is hitting right next to Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is hitting right next to Benintendi, and I think you kind of know where I'm going with this. What JT has done this season, putting up these career high numbers with a month to go, is he's progressed his story. He's learned about, you know, how an offense is going to work when you don't have nearly as many pieces that go along with that story. And he had that last year. He hit a little bit lower down in the lineup, thrust into the middle of the lineup. This year he has produced.
Takes a strike, 1 and 2. So the Triple Crown categories, average home runs, RBIs, 288, 18, and 68. The home runs, the RBIs, he's already surpassed his single season career marks. His best season in terms of average was 2016 when he hit 303. Nobody hit Sean Reed Foley in the first inning. Strikes out the side. Jeff Brigham in his major league debut. Down 1-0 after 1 inning. A sac fly off the bat of Kendrys Morales has given the Jays the lead. Here's Aledmus Diaz. Takes a look at strike one. It's Diaz, Teoscar Hernandez, and Luke Maley here in inning number 2. Diaz with a fly ball out to very shallow center field, right behind second base. In fact, for Starlin Castro, well, here's the scouting report on Jeff Brigham from Jeff Brigham.
I'm a power pitcher, good fastball, worked that off the slider, and I'm developing my changeup. I've really cut down on my walks this year. I think that's primary success, and I've really been able to throw my off speed in the strike zone consistently.
So there is getting inside the mind of Brigham a little bit, knowing that he needs to cut down on the walks a little bit.
Yeah, and you saw some of that in the first inning. Personally, typically just kind of dismiss everything you see because, adrenaline's just so high. We've seen the power fastball, 93, 95, good arm side run with it as well. And he threw some really good breaking balls in that first inning. He can work ahead. He'll be in a better spot. I think that will be the key to his success here in the month of September. I say this all the time. September is it's a very interesting month. There's no knowledge of Brigham around, the National League. Whoever he ends up going up against, however many starts he gets, everybody will be seeing him for the first time. So to his point about the control being good this year and commanding his secondary pitches, that's going to be big moving forward.
Well, he has gone 3-2 to yet another Blue Jay today.
It's the 5th time.
'18 homers, 46 RBIs for Teoscar Hernandez, who gets the start in left field today. Got the highest strikeout rate on the team, but he will draw the walk or get hit by a pitch. Either way, he'll take his base with 1 out in the second.
Please join us for Salute and Serve, presented by Ticked on Labor Day tomorrow, as we invite those who serve to join us for a ball game. Active and retired U.S. military personnel, veterans, firemen, and police officers receive 2 complimentary tickets when showing their official service IDs at the center field entrance of Marlins Park. For more information, visit marlins.com/offers.
Check on Hernandez, who walked with 1 out. First walk of the afternoon for Brigham, and now it's Luke Maley. Well, that one got him.
Anthony.
Like it may have gotten him on the elbow, so maybe one of those funny bone tingling sensations. Nope.
He's got to get him right on top of that left hand.
Way off. Walk to Hernandez that almost got him on ball 4, and then the hit by pitch on Maley. And once again, second straight inning, Brigham is in a little bit of trouble. Strike to Sean Reed Foley in a no doubt bunt situation here.
Well, Toronto Blue Jays are last in Major League Baseball with 3 sacrifice bunts this season. They're looking for their 4th.
They're still looking for it. Yeah, playing in the American League East, I can't imagine there are many instances where you are playing for 1 run. Of course, in this instance, it's more of a pitchers up, 2 on, National League City sort of thing. comes the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Second strikeout of the day for Brigham and a big out number 2.
We certainly wanted to see him go right at Reed Foley. We mentioned the inability to sacrifice bunt. This interleague has been around now for long enough. You think that Blue Jays they don't even have a sacrifice bunt by any pitcher on the roster. 3 sacrifices they have are from their players.
Wow. This is Billy McKinney, who started the ball game with a single, came around to score the game's lone run on a Morales sac fly.
He needs to be very careful here. If you go back to game number 1, remember he struck out his first 2 times up and then rattled off a few hits. 3 in a row. He has now got to hit 4 straight at bats.
This one behind the dugout, and it's 1-1. Now he's been a nice find. Of course, an outfielder in the Yankees system he's going to be blocked by a number of different players and other top prospects. So between McKinney and Brandon Drury, who was another one of those players who was brought over, thought maybe play some third base or other infield spots for the Yankees, but other things have popped up. Yanks needed a pitcher. They get Jay Happ, and guys like McKinney and Drury, who's currently injured, get an opportunity with the Blue Jays, and McKinney making the most of it to this point. 2-1. 5 multi-hit games in 15 with the Jays. Here comes the 2-1 from Brigham, and misses upstairs.
Okay.
See the splits. 47 pitches here in the second inning. 24 strikes, 23 balls.
And that'll load the bases. The second walk of the game for Brigham.
It's going to get Juan Nieves out of the dugout. Mound meeting as Chad Wallach makes his way to the mound as well.
The youngster is a pitch away from getting out of this inning. Blue Jays leave town. Philadelphia will come here tomorrow on the air with the Marlins Live pregame show, 12:30. Vincent Velasquez and Jose Urena, the 2 starting pitchers tomorrow. Afternoon affair on Labor Day, and then a couple of night games against the Phils.
Brigham is going to have to find a way to start to control the tempo of this ball game.
Well, that's a great mound visit. 1 pitch and a fly ball to Brinson. Couple of tough innings, but just a 1-0 deficit. Lots of traffic in the first 2 innings for Jeff Brigham, but just 1 run for the Jays. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth back with you on a Sunday afternoon here at Marlins Park. Glad that you're with us. First big league start for Jeff Brigham. Third big league start for Sean Reed-Foley.
Say, if Sean Reed-Foley's got a fastball.
Yes.
That's what we learned in the first. My goodness, he was all about it. I think we were probably a bit surprised. I mean, he's coming out looking like a seasoned veteran, attacking the strike zone with a good 2-seam, 4-seam combination on the fastball, as well as the slider. And the numbers, they don't lead you to believe that. Now, I know, certainly Blue Jay fans as well know, he's one of their top prospects.
Anywhere from top 10 to top 15, depending on the scouting service you look at.
You go back a couple of years, he was even higher on the list. I think some of the younger guys were just really starting to catch him, but they love his makeup and they love his arm. But after 2 starts at the big league level, I was wondering what they were loving. Now I see it again.
Castro drops one into right center field. A leadoff base hit here in the second after a day off for Castro. Now, speaking of Toronto's youth, the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight takes a look at some of Toronto's prospects. Oh, the names look familiar, don't they? Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and Kevon Biggio. Vlad Guerrero Jr. has put up quite the season. That's just 27 games at AAA, those numbers. But there have been certainly a call for the Jays to bring him up to the big leagues throughout the season, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the case.
Got the all-DNA minor league system. Some pretty impressive names, too, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
Certainly the Blue Jays believe in that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
That's right. A couple of Hall of Famers in there. And one guy that put up some great numbers along the way, Dante Bichette. Rafael Ortega fouls it back, 0-2.
Starlin Castro parked over at first base, got a base hit to start the ball game. That was his 64th 2-strike hit this season, Paul. I'll tell you. Really matter what the count is, his approach has not changed. He's been one of the most consistent Marlins hitters this season.
Ortega on the ground right side. Travis gets rid of it quick, and no throw from Gurriel.
Seemed like a routine turn at first. Castro down. Gurriel really, I guess, no grip on the baseball, no return throw. Give an opportunity for Ortega possibly to steal a base. He can run. 4 stolen bases on the season.
1 on, 1 out for Lewis Brinson. He went 0-1. Brinson in his first game back off the DL yesterday was 1 for 4. He's dealing with that right hip inflammation and bruise since really the late part of June. Ended up going on the DL in the beginning of July. On 0-2, Ortega leads away from first. And Reed-Foley offers that one upstairs. 17 strikes and enough balls to at least walk a guy.
been in the zone throughout these first few batters faced.
He's definitely made some in-season adjustments from his last big league start to where he's at today.
Brinson out to right center field, and that is McKinney for out number 2.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
And in steps Chad Wallach. Started the year on the opening day roster with the Marlins. And when JT Realmuto came back in mid-April, he went down to the minor leagues, came back up for a series when JT was on the paternity list. He gets the start today. Battery mate of Jeff Brigham. The win last night for the Marlins snapped a 4-game losing streak. And one thing that they did last night that they hadn't done in a couple of weeks was score a run in the first inning. Get out to that early lead. Rode it all the way to the victory, and now looking for a rubber match victory today against the Jays to send them on their way. This one is fouled back here below us. 1-2 to Wallach. Chad, the son of bench coach Tim Wallach. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Marlins can come back and win this game today. They'd even up their record against the American League East this year, currently 9-10. Tipped into the glove of Maley, and another strikeout for Reed Foley. That's 4 through 2 innings of work. When we come back, Kendrys Morales will be in the box for the Jays. Top 3 on the way. A 1-0 lead heading to the top of the 3rd inning. Jeff Brigham will face Kendrys Morales, Randall Grichuk, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. here in the 3rd. And the 50th pitch of the afternoon in there for a called strike to Morales, who had a sac fly back in the first inning. So 2 innings in the books. He's thrown a lot of pitches, but just the 1 run. I mean, if you're either Chad Wallach or pitching coach Juan Nieves, what are you telling him as he gets set for inning number 3 in his big league debut?
I mean, listen, you know, and I think through the first 50 pitches we've seen, you know, bring him good. You just have to see through the bad, and what I mean by bad is that there were a lot of pitches. It wasn't incredibly efficient, and you know, I think some of his body language would lend itself to, you know, he's trying to get his arsenal going and get himself in gear. The reason I mention it that way, the one word that continues to hit, you know, resonate in my mind is tempo. If he finds his tempo, I think he'll get into rhythm. What he's missed through the first 2 innings is that tempo. You know, sometimes you can make 15 pitches feel either really short or really long, if you know what I mean. Well, he's throwing, what, about 25, 27 pitches an inning, and it feels really, really long, even though you watch, he's not taking his time out there. He's throwing a lot of pitches, and he's throwing a lot of pitches that don't have any value. The one you just saw.
And another 3-2 count. He's gone to 3-ball count 7 of the 12 batters faced. He's walked a couple, struck out a couple.
Well, that tells you how his mindset works. We've seen him a number of times go to the 3-2 breaking ball. He trusts his slider today. He's thrown some good ones. The problem is that he's thrown some really bad ones as well. He struck out Grichuk on a nasty slider, and he nearly decapitated Hernandez on a 3-2 slider. Tells you where his game is at right now.
He walks Morales, the 3rd walk today. A leadoff free pass to begin the 3rd. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. Well, the lowest home ERA in the National League since the end of July. The Marlins are pitching to a 2.64 ERA. So 2 things at play here, and this is what we talked about in March and April. If the Marlins can play well at home, and if they can pitch, they're going to win some games. And kind of put those 2 together right there, the lowest ERA in the last 6 weeks or so.
Told Wei and Cy Chen about 2 months ago to go around to his teammates and tell them in their ear quietly how to get it done on the mound. It's been working.
It certainly has. Grichuk fouls it back. There's Wei Chen, fresh off an 8-inning outing, his longest as a Marlin, 107 pitches, an earned run, and he lowered his home ERA to 1.77.
More importantly, even at the start of the ballgame, which I didn't think was a possibility after about 10 starts, and since that mark, he's made about 10 more starts. That is ERA under 5. I mean, he's had to pitch at that level to combat, you know, the bad that we saw on the road from Chen. Now, Chen has been better on the road of late, and that certainly needs to be recognized. But the point is that, I mean, there was a point where you were thinking, in fact, the rotation was manipulated out of the All-Star break so that Chen would basically, I think it was about 4 starts in a row, make 4 starts in a row at home without even pitching on the road.
Grichuk pops this one up behind home plate. Wallach will give it a look. And that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last night with Chen. It's like you don't even want to look at the splits, the home road splits, as much as you want to look at the game log, because as I mentioned last night, now they're updated. 4 earned runs or less in 17 of his 22. 3 earned runs or less in 15 of his 22.
Right.
So when it's gotten ugly, it's gotten very ugly, and that has blown up the home road splits for him. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Grichuk. Left field. Ortega gives it a look, and a fair ball off the wall. Into third goes Morales. A double for Grichuk. and just barely kept that one fair down in the corner.
Yeah, Brigham had thrown his best breaking balls to Grichuk all game long, but maybe one too many breaking balls. That's the slider. It's in Grichuk's happy spot. In fact, we've seen more pitches, more of those breaking balls up. Grichuk was struggling with them. That one down. He's actually out in front, catches it off the end of the bat, but able to drive it off that left field wall.
So now it's Gurriel. 25 doubles for Grichuk this year. And for Grichuk, it should come as no surprise. He started the day tied for 6th in the American League with 21 extra base hits since the All-Star break. So he adds another double to that mix and presents a scoring opportunity here for the Jays. 2 balls and no strikes to Gurriel. Up to the mound goes Nieves.
Trying to regain that tempo. You've seen him try to get it in gear. A lot of times you're seeing it maybe even better at the beginning of at-bats, but as the at-bat goes on and he gets into that 3-2 count once again, you start to see some of that anxiety seem to creep back in.
You have to imagine that Nieves worked with him in spring training here and there, but basically since camp broke up until now, it's been nothing but reports, right? So he hasn't been watching him throw bullpen sessions or anything along those lines. He got here, yesterday or the night before, so even then there wasn't a lot of time to really truly connect and give Juan Nieves a chance to figure out how Brigham ticks in spots like this.
But this is more than just his stuff, though, Paul, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that what we've seen from him so far, he can get big league hitters out. I don't know how consistently he can do it, but the point is this is more about the tempo and what we're seeing from his body language, the pace of which he's pitching, or the stress that he's applying to himself. And that's the one thing that he's going to have to figure out how to control just a little bit better. In fact, it's what the Blue Jays are preying on right now. When he's missing outside the zone, they're easy takes for Blue Jay hitters. They're zoning him up. That's what they're trying to do.
Two and two to the Jays shortstop, who flew out to Sierra to end the first. Here comes. In the air, deep right field. Edge of the track, Sierra makes the play. Throw goes into third. And a sac fly gives the Jays a 2-0 lead. Sac fly in the first and one in the third, accounting for both Blue Jays runs. As Aledmus Diaz digs in. The run around third and one out. Marlins will pull the infield in. And on the first pitch, Diaz sends it to deep center field. Brinson is back, leaps and makes the catch. But an easy tag up from third for Grichuk. And it's 3-0.
Diaz, deep drive to center field. Brinson does not take his eyes off it. 1-2, knows where he's at. Gives himself a good leap. Will come down and make the catch securely.
Teoscar Hernandez fouls it back. Hernandez walked in the second inning.
Toronto Blue Jays have scored all 3 of their runs on sacrifice flies.
Productive outs.
I can't remember the last time I think I've seen that before. First 3 runs of the ball game all come on sacrifice flies. It's been a while. Jimmy?
The brains behind the operation, John Chimchuk, now has homework for the next 45 minutes. You're welcome. Shouldn't take long. I mean, there's 30 teams, so it's 15 games a day for 5 months and 2 days. Go through every box score. Shouldn't take long.
That's not what he's doing.
There's an algorithm for that, I'm sure.
Right. You see the workload. It has been heavy and taxing. Young Mr. Brigham.
2-2 pitch to Hernandez.
Well, there's been a lot of 3-2 counts. It's not the number of 3-2 counts for me. It's how he's gotten to the 3-2 counts more than anything that have really told the story. Young man's got a good arm.
Spoils another. Well, the .236 ERA for Brigham at 3 levels of the minor leagues, the second lowest among Marlins minor leaguers this season, behind only Manuel Rodriguez, who was pitching at Batavia. And the 10 wins that he had, second organizationally to an Igniter who had 12. Another 3-2 pitch inside, and the 4th walk of the afternoon. Second time he has issued a free pass to Hernandez today.
Well, it's interesting to me, you know, in that both times he's walked him on the front door breaking ball, he's trying to get it in there. What it tells you is that he trusts that pitch, and that's part of the sequence of the success or what he's been doing in the minor leagues. That's his routine. That's a pitch that he likes to throw to a right-handed hitter that he knows he can get it to his spot. We even heard it in his opening interview, you know, talking about what his arsenal is. He's cut down on the walks. He trusts his breaking pitches. He can throw them at any count. We've seen him willing to go there today. We've just seen the inability to execute the pitch.
And Luke Malley lines that one foul into the seats. Maley was hit by a pitch back in the second inning. They've gotten away with one there.
It's actually a pretty good pitch. Remember what the pitch before it was? He took a 2-seam fastball and lined it into the seats.
That one gets away from Real Muto, but a fortuitous bounce back. And Hernandez may have been accidentally stepped on.
I think he redirected the throw. Let's take another look. Yeah, sure he did. It was partly off of him.
He gets stepped on too? Might have.
It's been a very interesting first 3 innings.
Popped up, and this one into the seats. Well, 4 walks for Brigham to this point. 22 walks in 17 games this season in the minor leagues before today. Of course, the conditions a little different. This is his big league debut. Maley, base hit left field. Hernandez being waved around from third. Here comes the throw from Riddle. Got him! Chad Wallach applies the tag and cuts down a run at home plate. From Ortega to Riddle to Wallach. Making a bid for extra bases and an RBI. Ortega digs it out. Riddle throws a strike. Inning over. Back here at Marlins Park, 3-0 Marlins trail in Jeff Brigham's Major League debut. Let's check in with Kelly Sacco.
Thanks, Paul. Well, I'm here with Jeff's family. The whole crew's here. We've got his dad, Brett, his mother, Gloria, and his brother, Tyler. And you guys actually were in New Orleans expecting to see him to pitch there, and now you're here in Miami. So tell us about how these past couple days have been for you guys.
Very tiring, but exciting. Loving every minute of it.
I can imagine. And Jeff's out there. He's battling. Only 3 runs on the board. The Marlins have, of course, scored 11 the past few days, so I'm sure they're going to get the bats going here in the next couple innings. Gloria, an emotional roller coaster. What was that moment like when Jeff told you, hey, Mom, I'm getting called up. We're going to Miami?
It was so exciting. He came out and he said, my start's been moved back a day. I'm going to be pitching on Sunday in Miami. And it was so emotional. It was just an amazing time for us all. A dream come true.
And you had mentioned to me before, this isn't the first time that you had gone to another city expecting to watch him pitch there and then had to go road trip it or fly to another city. So tell us about what happened there in Jacksonville.
Oh, absolutely. I flew into Orlando on a red-eye and drove up to Jacksonville to watch him pitch that weekend. And 11 o'clock, I was back at the hotel, and he gave me a phone call and said, hey, Mom, road trip. Want to go to New Orleans? And off we went.
Some exciting memories. Definitely not going to forget it. Again, guys, welcome, congratulations, and back to you guys in the booth.
All right, Kelly and Brigham family, thanks so much. As Sierra sends one out to right field. Fly ball out for the first out here in inning number 3. Now, Brigham's spot is due up right now, but it's going to be Yadiel Rivera to take the at-bat and end the afternoon for Brigham. Battled through 3 innings of work, and I'm sure it's nice to enjoy this day, get that major league debut, but maybe a small part of him to get it over with too, and maybe get back to normal from here on out.
And that's what you certainly hope for him. Brigham stuff plays. That's the one thing that you take away from today. Threw some good pitches, just not enough of them. Rivera's going to get the pinch hit here. 7 for 31 on the season. That's 226 average, 3 RBIs. You see the final line. 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, the 4 walks. It certainly stands out. I just mentioned it. 3 sacrifice flies by the Toronto Blue Jays. They probably could have had a few more. Defense, in fact, helped pick up Brigham a couple of times.
Anthony, 3, please.
I think I would take that away from today. I talk pitch value an awful lot, and I do speak to it from a hitter's perspective, and it's the respect that we show towards pitches that come out of a pitcher's hand. Now, if you throw me 30 sliders and they all bounce in the dirt, I have no respect for that pitch. Every time you throw it without even me blinking my eyes, I'm going to assume it's going to be a ball. And I think with Brigham today, we saw some good pitches and some ones that weren't so good. About half the pitches he threw today were so far out of the strike zone that most Blue Jay hitters didn't respect those pitches a whole lot. Now, there were some good sliders, did pick up a couple of key strikeouts on the pitch. Some fastballs made their mark. A couple of two-seamers running back to that outside corner against a righty. But on the whole, you know, the easy way to say this is he needs to be more efficient so that everybody understands it. But there's more to just understanding efficiency. And really, for me, it's just the tempo for which he pitched today really didn't match with what he was trying to do. And he was amped up, but I think maybe that's the word. Well, amped up, you know, 3-2 breaking balls, that's going to be tough to pull off.
Talking with the pitching coach Juan Nieves and Dan Straley now, try to get it back to neutral. Go through the normal routine in between starts. Get back on the horse in a few days. 3-0.
Day. Purchase a ticket package to receive an exclusive Jewish Heritage Day t-shirt and enjoy a pregame party in the fifth base presented by Corona Light. Visit marlins.com, Jewish for tickets.
And there's the kosher corner here at Marlins Park. Brett Graves will take over for Jeff Brigham. The job for Graves here to chew up some innings, keep the Jays where they're at, give the offense a chance to score some runs, get back in this game down 3 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. 15th game for Graves. He will face Sean Reed Foley, Billy McKinney, and Devin Travis. 9-1-2 for the Jays here in the 4th.
I'll tell you what, Graves has made some tremendous strides over his last 6 ball games, totaling 9 innings of work, 4 strikeouts, a walk, all scoreless appearances. Opponent's batting average against .265, has allowed just 2 extra base hits in those 6 games. Think back to when he first got here. Certainly significant struggles. He has overcome those and been much more aggressive inside the strike zone. He's done a fantastic job, in fact. Picked up a save. D.C. about halfway through August.
And he picks up a strikeout of Reed Foley for out number 1 in the 4th.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Back to the top of the order for Billy McKinney. Single and a run scored in the first inning, walked in the second.
Turn that into now 5 straight. Talking about that his last time up. Brigham needed to be very careful with McKinney. He's now reached base in 5 consecutive plate appearances, 4 hits and a walk.
Grounded to Castro, gets rid of it quick. 2 up and 2 down here in the 4th for Graves. Three sac flies have led to the runs for Toronto. 4 walks and a hit by pitch have been the base runners. 4 hits mixed in as well. I guess a long way of saying there's been a lot of traffic for Toronto through the first 2 times through the order. Marlins get the bullpen going early today here in the 4th. Hope to have better results in September than what they had in August as a club. A 6.14 bullpen ERA in August, 2nd worst in baseball, only to Baltimore. And a 3.11 batting average against, the highest in Major League Baseball. But a clean inning for Brett Graves out of the pen. 3-0 Toronto. Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by Simply Healthcare, live the Simply life. Looks like it's finally starting to brighten up a little bit outside the ballpark. Roof and windows closed, coming in through torrential downpours today. I mean, the booms of thunder all morning long, early in the afternoon, but perfect conditions inside Marlins Park. Brian Anderson takes a called strike. Anderson, Real Muto, and Castro here in the 4th against Sean Reed Foley, one of the September call-ups for the Jays, his 3rd big league start.
Foley has been nothing like the scouting report that we laid eyes on. I mean, I suppose we could wander down the minor league side, maybe make a little bit more sense of it, but through 2 starts, The numbers definitely favored the hitters. Cards going up against Reed Foley. Today he has been virtually untouchable. He's having a hard time with his 2-seam, 4-seam combination. Of course, the slider. All 5 strikeouts against the Marlins today have come on the fastball.
Reed Foley wanted that one. Maley may have wanted that one, but ball 2.
Well, the reason I bring up the fastball point, all 5 strikeouts on the fastball, right-handed hitters were 9 for 18 coming in.
Got on and missed. His 6th strikeout. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live, the pregame show on the air early for a Monday. It's a Labor Day matinee here at the ballpark. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson get you set for the opener of a 3-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies. We start the well, the last would be the last, and then there's the penultimate, which is the one just prior to the last. What's the third to last? Do you know that word? Do you have a big vocabulary? I clearly do not.
What are we trying to figure out?
It's the third to last series at home this year. That's what I'm getting at.
That would be the third to last series at home.
All right.
I missed the beginning, pal. We're still working on sacrifice flies over here.
Jeez. Have you made it to Memorial Day yet? Counting up the box scores this year?
No. Memorial Day. Tomorrow's Labor Day, you goof.
See, I don't know up from down. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Anyway, Phillies for 3, and then a 10-day road trip. Then the Nats for 2, Cincinnati for 4, and that wraps up the home schedule. Is kind of where I was going with all that vocabulary talk. Can always count on you, partner.
There you go. I got you an answer. What do you want?
I got a base hit for JT through the right side.
I got you the answer you were looking for.
I gotta read this over the replay here. Go ahead while I sound it out.
Well, this is the changeup away, and you see it kind of darting off the outside edge, but a great swing by JT Realmuto going the other way. You see the shift on by the Blue Jays. Travis playing him more up the middle, and again, that's the ball on the ground. He's locked in right now. When he's locked in, he'll take off speed and go the other way. Great swing.
Anti-penultimate.
I didn't say I'd say it. I said I'd get it for you.
I'd appreciate it.
Well, no.
1 on, 1 out. 0-1 to Starlin Castro. Castro a base hit back in the 2nd inning. Back in the lineup today after an off day yesterday. It's another 2-strike hit for him back in that 2nd inning. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot picking up right where he left off last year as an American leaguer, hitting .377 this season against the AL. 4 doubles and 7 ribbies. Maybe he just likes 2-strike counts.
Well, would you like something that you're very good at? Yeah. There you go. Got a lot of confidence. Well, I mean,
exactly. In all seriousness, there is a confidence.
It speaks to the success that he's had in the position. He's not. Listen. You start throwing out numbers like 60+ hits in with 2 strikes. You're not worried about 2 strikes. I mean, a strikeout may come. It's not going to ruin your day. Point being is that he's okay to go deep in a count. Also speaks to his tremendous hand-eye coordination, which is something I've been able to watch since he got to the big leagues the very first time. Some of the best hand-eye coordination in the game.
Well, I know we've talked about that a lot with guys like Martin Prado, that some guys, when they get to the plate, they just like to see a lot of pitches. See it all firsthand. Feel comfortable deep in counts.
I don't think it's that Starlin necessarily wants to hit deep in counts. It's just that he can hit a lot of pitches.
Lined and caught by Travis, who throws from the seat of his pants to double up JT Realmuto. Nice job to make the play, get the first out, and then quickly pivot and throw to first base to get the second. Through 4, 3-0. Down 3-0. Brett Graves in his second inning of work after 3 innings in the major league debut of Jeff Brigham. Graves will face Kendrys Morales, Randall Grichuk, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Blue Jays won the opener of this series, dropped the ball game last night, so they've lost 5 of 6 overall, and they've certainly had their struggles on the road, losing 8 of 9 and 10 of 13 away from Rogers Center. They've got the 3-run lead here in the middle innings as Graves strikes out Morales for the first out. Geico presents this day in Major League history. September 2nd, 1998 at Pro Player Stadium. Mark McGwire homers number 58 and 59 to surpass Jimmy Fox and Hank Greenberg, who each had 58 in the season. Of course, that was 1998. He would go on to hit 70 home runs and set a new single season high, which was surpassed a few years later by Barry Bonds. What a summer that was. I remember watching it as a kid. I know you were in what, your 3rd full season at that time,
right?
Seeing it from a different perspective as Grichuk is hit by a pitch. Second time a Jay has been plunked tonight, this afternoon.
Sure that hit his hand. Maybe it did catch his pinky finger. Sure to me looked like it caught more of the knob of the bat. In fact, yeah, the Marlins are actually going to say something here. Just another look. Doesn't catch the elbow pad. Doesn't catch the hand. Hits the knob of the bat. A little bit of the hand.
Well, looks like maybe enough of it to not risk a challenge. That's the thing. You've got to weigh these challenges in such a way. We talk about it a lot. You're not watching it in a vacuum. And I was Talking around the cage the other day with Ed Lucas, who is on the coaching staff for the Marlins, kind of runs the video replay division, if you will. That it's tough to do that, to look at it in a vacuum, knowing that there's the call on the field. And if maybe there'd be some unintended consequences if Major League Baseball said, okay, you go to replay, you go to review, forget what the call was and just see what you see.
Well, right, there's risk and reward factors that go into this. I mean, if you get it wrong, I mean, you lose the challenge and you move on, and then you don't. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's just, but you have to watch every one, and of course, we watch it like it's happening for the first time, and then we apply the umpire's actual ruling on the field to what we think we see. And I think a lot of fans do this as well. This is why replay is, a lot of times a fun conversation. It's kind of that barroom conversation that does come up, not just on hit by pitches, but you see it there. And I think what's debatable is, did it hit the pinky on the right hand or whatever, or I guess the left hand.
Nothing in 2-2 Gurriel.
You got to have enough to overturn it. So that's the one thing you've got to remember. Tell you what, Grichuk sold it well.
Yeah, you might as well.
Well, he went down to first base, put his bat down and, made his way. Didn't act like it was in between.
That look of frustration. Can't believe he got hit by another pitch. Gurriel, a liner up the middle.
This breaking ball didn't do much. Gurriel stayed right on it, lined it right over the back of Graves.
That'll bring up Aledmys Diaz. That one outside. He has 0 for 1, had a sac fly back in the third. Swings and misses, ball and a strike. Earlier this inning, we were talking about Barry Bonds and the home run chase in 1998, back and forth with Sammy Sosa. It captivated the country, kind of got the fans back behind baseball again after the strike in 1994. What do you remember from that summer? Kind of being a baseball fan, but watching it from a distance because you're playing every day.
Right. It's the power game, and I think that's what many of us inside the game were so caught up with. I mean, listen, playing against Mark McGwire or against Barry Bonds, two enormously sized individuals, they could hit a ball a very long way. In fact, I was standing on first base when
dribbler, Riddle, bare hand, dug out by Real Muto. With Diaz hustling down the line, Riddle had one way to make that play.
And it certainly was with the bare hand, and this is on both ends. It's going to be our Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. Get it done, JT, on the backhand, picking up his teammate JT at short. That's right, JT to JT times 2. All the way. Just the idea of getting back to the McGwire-Bonds conversation, the idea that home runs were kind of taking over the sport once again. It was that whole era where homers, and more homers. You can never hit enough. And I thought it was very interesting because it was at a point in my career, and I'd been in the big leagues now for a couple of seasons, where in my rookie season, I think I stole 21 bases, and by about 98, running had all just about disappeared. Guys weren't encouraged to run, other than in a few teams and a few spots around the game. And so much of that was directed, right at the fact that everybody was hitting home runs. So the game became very stationary, and it was, you know, in that don't run, don't lose out, don't make outs on the bases. And instead of don't make outs on the bases, that was originally, you know, that phrase that we say, and we've said it a few times this year, usually applied to aggressiveness.
Right.
It was used in the opposite. Don't make outs on the bases, period. You know what I mean? It was like, don't you dare even get picked off, for crying out loud, because, you know, you're a 2-run homer. The game was changing, and I think that season, that particular season, really kind of ushered in a lot of what we have seen over the last few seasons. Currently are seeing a lot of home runs in baseball as well, but if you kind of back it all the way up, it really does kind of go back to that point in time.
Ball and 2 strikes to Teoscar Hernandez. Speaking of the long ball, a 3-run shot. A 6-0 lead for Toronto.
Now the breaking ball has gotten away from Graves this inning. It's been hit hard a number of times. It was a good pitch that first time, and here in his second inning of work, the breaking ball has hung. 83 miles an hour, splits the plate. Hernandez all over it.
Luke Maile takes that one low and away. 2 walks today and a home run for Hernandez. 52 of his 101 hits have gone for extra bases this year. And now Maile, right center field. That one's going to get down, and Sierra will play it off the wall. A 2-out double for Maile, his second double of the day.
Let's go back to that home run once again for Hernandez. 409 feet off the bat. 106 miles an hour. Not fooled by that breaking ball. Unloaded.
StatCast AI powered by AWS. A closer look at that 3-run home run that doubles the deficit for the Marlins. There's Sean Reed Foley taking a called strike. Sac flies, and then a 3-run big fly for Teoscar Hernandez. Struck out a couple of times. This afternoon was the first batter that Graves faced when he came into the game in the 4th inning. Swung on and missed, but the damage done in the inning. A Hernandez 3-run homer makes it 6-0.
we're going. I heard a lot of great comments from the standpoint of I love watching this team. We're behind you. We like the direction the team's going. So it's just nice to interact.
That was manager Don Mattingly earlier today at the 2019 enrollment breakfast. Over 300 Marlins members attended. Not only were they treated to breakfast, but they also had the chance to mingle with players, alumni, current players, and coaches. Don Mattingly was there. Freddie Gonzalez, Bone swung by. We've got our alumni, Alfredo Messica and Alex Gonzalez. And yes, we were there as well. And I know I can speak on behalf of everyone here at Fox Sports Florida. We love chatting with you all and getting the chance to hang out a little bit before the game. And of course, appreciate all the support. And it's nice to see, as Donnie said, it's nice that the fans also agree. They like the direction everything's going in. They're excited for the future.
Yes, they absolutely are. As Rafael Ortega begins the fifth with a base hit up the middle. Second time he's been on base, got a fielder's choice earlier. So yeah, I had a chance to say hello to some folks. Say hi this morning. Holly, you were a few paces back. It was very nice to chat with some folks this morning who were excited about where things are going. In hopefully finishing September strong.
Well, they've gotten in on the ground level. For a lot of them, it's bringing a smile to their face. Yeah, they know it's been, as far as the record is concerned, a tough season, but they're excited for what tomorrow holds. To a person, I heard nothing but, positive things about the direction the organization's going in. Certainly some understanding for process and waiting things out, but very excited to be part of the future as a member.
Up the middle, and that one gets past Devin Travis into center field, and up to third goes Ortega. A base hit for Brinson.
A two-seam fastball, inner third. Brinson stays inside, kind of drives it back through the middle. Going to deflect after 3 hops off of Travis's glove. Nice running by Ortega. Good base running. That's all happening in front. Realizes once it hits off his glove, he's got third base all to himself. I'll tell you what, Ortega's a pretty good base runner. He's impressed since being up here with the big club over the last few weeks. Good instincts on the bases.
That one hits Wallach, and the bases are loaded.
We've seen 3 guys hit on inside breaking balls to right-handed hitters today.
And out to the mound comes the pitching coach, Pete Walker. To finish that point on Ortega about being a good base runner, what he's shown in these few weeks since being up here is just a solid all-around game, really. I mean, he's provided a spark when he's been at the top of the lineup. He's played some good defense in different spots in the outfield. You mentioned the base running. He's been consistently getting on base, drawing some walks, doing just a lot of little things with this opportunity that he's been given.
Well, and I think for a player like Ortega, it's very beneficial to open up manager Don Mattingly's eyes to what his entire game is. Remember, I know that he's been here for a few weeks, but he is absolutely showcasing for next season and what he may possibly bring to this team as whether a starter or as a fourth outfielder, and that versatility, the ability to play multiple positions in the outfield, to hit different spots in the lineup. He can lead off. I've seen him handle lefties pretty well. There's a few things, at least in my personal opinion, that have really benefited his game that will help him put his resume together when it comes to the 2019 season.
Well, a big spot here for Magnori's Sierra, who flew out in his first at-bat. Bases loaded and nobody out. Takes that one low, 1-1. Chance for the Marlins to chip away. Pitcher spot due up next, but Derek Dietrich in the on-deck circle, with Ortega at third, Brinson at second, and Wallach at first. Inside corner, 1-2. real opportunity here for the Marlins against Sean Reed Foley. Delivers his 60th pitch. It is slapped foul wide of the third base bag. Still 1-2. High, 2-2. Chase that one for the first out of the inning.
Take one more quick look. That breaking ball gets to its mark, down and in. See it right over the top. That's exactly the result that Reed Foley was looking for.
So it will be Derek Dietrich off the bench. An opportunity to really get the Marlins going here. 16 homers, 43 RBIs. Back to the screen at 94 miles an hour. Now the Blue Jays have had a pinch hit grand slam this series. How about the Marlins answering back? Too much to ask?
Well, Dietrich on the season 3 for 18 as a pinch hitter, does have an RBI. 12 with the bases loaded with 4 RBIs. Got 3 pinch hit home runs for 4.
Just 3 starts for Reed Foley, but 7 strikeouts, surpassing a career high. He had 6 his last time out against the Yankees. Left on base, or 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, 5 left on base last night. 7 for 24 with runners in scoring position, 17 left on base in the first 2 games of the series. The Sierra at bat a moment ago, the only opportunity for him today. Dietrich. Line, and Travis can't get rid of it to double up Brinson. But there are 2 away here in the 5th.
Dietrich hits it pretty well. It's not enough to get it over the infield. Travis able to catch it on the run. Quick toss to second, looking for that double play. Brinson back just in the nick of time.
So now it's up to JT Riddle, who is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Strikeout in the first inning when Reed Foley struck out the side, and a fly ball in the 3rd. Single hit by pitch, loaded the bases. Strikeout and a line out followed. Two hits and 2 runs scored out of the leadoff spot yesterday for Riddle. Back hitting leadoff today. 2-0 pitch. Misses low and in. 3 balls and no strikes. Fairly balanced attack on the infield for Riddle. Green light? No.
Chase 6, no chance. May not even be swinging here. Reed Foley's going to continue to work from behind.
Ball 4, and the Marlins are on the board. Now the first walk of the afternoon for Reed Foley leads to the Marlins' first run.
Right man, right spot. 383 with runners in scoring position. That leads the National League, 4th in Major League Baseball. 41 hits in this situation, 3rd in the National League. Good look at the numbers. 48 RBIs, just over 100 ABs, 107.
Down on the count, 0-2. He's already struck out twice this afternoon against Reed Foley. Once on the fastball, once on the slider. Next pitch will be number 75 for Reed Foley. 50 strikes to this point for him. Brinson, Wallach, Riddle, 3rd to 1st. 1-2 pitch. He's outside. Cut on and missed. Chase that one upstairs. And the Marlins leave the bases loaded. They get 1 on the bases loaded walk. Reed Foley and the Jays up by 5. 6th inning, but they're only able to push one across on a bases loaded walk. So they trail this one 6-1 as Nick Whitgren takes over. Back in the big leagues, one of these September call-ups. Seen him be very successful this year, very effective out of the Marlins pen at times.
Yeah, they wanted him to go back down to the minor leagues, work on a few things, and looking forward to seeing what he has in store. Very aggressive. Whitgren's thrown the ball pretty well out of the Marlins bullpen over the last couple of seasons. He struggled a little bit before essentially going down. His second stint with the Marlins this season. Remember, he went on the 10-day disabled list with a right middle finger contusion at the beginning of June.
Top of the order due up for the Jays. Billy McKinney to lead things off. He takes a called strike. McKinney, Devin Travis, and Kendrys Morales. Well, the first time that Sean Reed Foley had his back up against the wall as McKinney chops this one to Real Muto. He was able to respond. Bases loaded, nobody out. Obviously did give up the run, but for all intents and purposes, Marlins have to be a little frustrated with Reed Foley's effectiveness that inning.
Well, he has been aggressive, and of course, as the game has gone on, second time through the lineup, third time through the lineup, using those secondary pitches in some ways to set up the fastball. At the end of the day, yeah, there have been a few missed opportunities. As I said, kind of surprising. His 2 starts against the Yankees and the Royals hit pretty hard.
It's 1-0 to Travis is fouled behind the dugout. 1-1. Three innings to start for Jeff Brigham in his major league debut. Gave up 3 sac flies. Brett Graves pitched a couple of innings, gave up the 3-run home run to Teoscar Hernandez. And Travis strikes out for the second out here in the 6th inning.
Nice job by Whitgren.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
Yeah, some real good sequencing from Whitgren. Very vertical in the strike zone, able to pick up a strike both at the bottom and top.
Now it's Kendrys Morales swinging at the first pitch, fouling it off. Sac fly in the first inning, walked and scored in the 3rd, and struck out in the 5th. Morales has had some family in town this week from Cuba. He's gotten to start twice in front of his family and friends here in Miami, so I'm sure that's been nice for him. And a hit on Friday night, ribby today. A ball and 2 strikes.
Good arm side run from Whitgren. Two-seam fastball. House has gone after it a couple of times. Paired it with a good changeup. 85-86 range.
Three balls and 2 strikes now from Whitgren. Morales 21 home runs this season, 211 in his career. Sends this one the other way. Ortega back, has room to make the catch, and a 1-2-3 6th inning for Nick Whitgren. Marlins down a handful.
Marlins Park, 6-1, bottom of the 6th. This is the 22nd year of interleague play. Marlins wrapping up their interleague play here today against the Toronto Blue Jays, and it has been a dominant history for the American League. They have won 17 of the 21 previous seasons. The NL hasn't won, in fact, since 2003. That's 14 straight years for the AL. But this year, so far so good for the senior circuit, as they have won 144 of the games, 127 for the American League. Today's game notwithstanding, you see the numbers have favored the National League. 11-point batting average, ERA, homers as well over the AL this year. Now, if you're wondering, that ball comes our direction, this trend is not carried over to the World Series. The American League has a very slim edge, 11-10 in the 21 years, and the NL has won 6 of the last 10 when it comes down to the World Championship. But it is interesting, you guys, to see that the AL has been that dominant to win 17 out of 21 seasons in interleague play.
Thank you, Craig. It's got to have something to do with the DH, right? And that extra, usually slugger in the American League, as McKinney makes the play in foul ground.
Definitely. I think that's a good answer. The answer I would give, I guess, in regards to this season, to me, it's pretty clear and simple. The American League is so top heavy. Remember, interleague, you cast a wide net. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, everybody gets a little bit of it, meaning everybody's involved in some way every season. The point being is that there's a lot of bad teams in the American League. We were just talking about the Central the other day, for crying out loud. How bad? And I think that's what you're seeing this year as far as the bounce back. The National League has got more balance. You've got more teams at the top that are even in the playoff chase. And the rosters are generally, at least in my opinion, maybe a little bit more competitive. You look in the American League this year, Boston, New York, Cleveland, Houston, and Oakland.
Maybe Seattle.
Sprinkle in, yeah, maybe. Well, obviously you could sprinkle in some Seattle there, and I suppose a little bit of Tampa Bay. But you got a lot of bad teams.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the postseason picture has been etched for quite some time.
Into April?
Without exaggerating, you probably
I'm being
close.
serious. Yeah, man,
You're right.
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
It's been the same 6 or 7 teams that have been in the mix that whole time. And not only just the teams, but also you can make a case that the seeding, too. I mean, the Red Sox have been in first place since, what, July 2nd. The Indians have run away from the division forever. Houston's flirted with, you know, maybe jumping back into second place, but for the most part, they've been able to keep everybody at an arm's length. National League playoff picture is a little bit more unclear, certainly in terms of the seeding, never mind just the teams that are involved. Two to Starlin Castro. Flicks it out to right field, and McKinney makes the sliding catch.
I tell you, McKinney's been an impressive player in this series. He's playing like he wants a permanent team. He had one. Toronto Blue Jays being his 4th organization. Gets a good read, good jump behind it, and then breaks forward. Looked pretty simple. Nice catch. About chest high, but making his way down to the turf.
Well, sometimes an outfielder will slide in order to catch a chest high, right? With the way that the glove is positioned, because you don't like flipping the glove under a, fingers pointed to the ground.
Right. A lot more under control. Use the word graceful.
Not well.
It's very graceful.
Everything you do is graceful.
No, not me. He was graceful.
You're graceful too. No, you're very graceful.
I don't think so. But that was done very smoothly.
Inside to Ortega. Foley trying to get through 6 innings, already the longest outing of his career. Of course, only his 3rd big league start. Young man who was born in Guam. His dad was a chief warrant officer in the Coast Guard. Grew up in Jacksonville, went to Sandalwood High School. Committed to Florida State before the Blue Jays took him in the 2nd round in 2014. And here he is back in Florida, working 6 strong innings against the Marlins. 6-1. Built for baseball, Anthony Rizzo in Philadelphia takes Cy Young candidate Aaron Nola deep to right center field. Solo shot in the 4th inning as the Cubs and Phillies wrap things up this afternoon. Phillies will be here tomorrow to start a 3-game series.
I'll tell you what, the Parkland native Anthony Rizzo certainly is heated up in the month of August, doing his fair share of the workload. Kind of picking up with Bryant going on the disabled list. Baez having an outstanding season. I think he's one away from 100 RBIs.
Creeping up on 100, yep.
And new teammate Daniel Murphy has fit in pretty well in Windy City.
He homered today in the 3rd inning. Rizzo added a solo shot in the 4th. 9th and 23rd home runs respectively. And we'll see the Phils for 3 tomorrow. Well, starting tomorrow. Never played a triple-header. Not even on Labor Day.
Not on Labor Day.
Not on Labor Day.
No, that's a bad idea. It's a little too much labor.
Right. You know, would you be on board for that, like every Saturday or Sunday doubleheader? That people are batting that around and able to get extra baseball and more charm in the game and stuff.
Right. It's a great question. I know it's been kind of kicked around a little bit. It's easy for me to answer now, and I really don't want to say because I'm not qualified to answer it anymore. When I played, I'll just say it, speaking to my career, and you never want to go to where you're like speaking for the guys who are going to be the ones who actually have to do it,
right?
Because it is a big day. I mean, when you take on 2 games, it's going to affect a lot of things.
Anderson makes the play.
Out number 1 here in the 7th inning. And point being, again, we're talking doubleheaders here. They didn't bother me. I liked them, especially if you got into a rhythm early. I always felt like, boy, this could be a good one. 4 or 5 hits today, maybe, if I get into my game. And if it meant an extra off day somewhere else, I also saw it in that aspect, and I thought it was beneficial as well. So it never really bothered me when they happened. So it wasn't a big deal to me. It's different for these guys. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones going out there and having to pitch, play, and endure an 8-hour day at the ballpark and, you know, do their job. So probably better for the players to answer that one than it is for me. I'll just say that it didn't bother me when I was in that position. I actually kind of enjoyed them most of the time because you're there at the ballpark. You're geared up and you're ready to go. You might as well just keep on going with it.
As long as they're single admission, though, right?
Right.
Those dual admission doubleheaders.
Oh,
those are
yeah,
long
the splits
games.
you're talking about 1 o'clock and 7:30, and no, I wasn't interested. You're talking 20 minutes after game number 1.
Yeah, those are long ones.
Yeah, you do a few more of those in the minor leagues, and they did.
But at least there's 7 innings in the minor leagues.
Right. Well, but even then, I mean, 9 wouldn't have bothered. I'm just saying it's the idea that you're out there playing, and once you're kind of in the rhythm of playing, for me, it didn't bother me that much.
Upstairs to Gurriel, the ball and 2 strikes. 2nd inning of work for Nick Whitgren. Gurriel today a fly ball, a sac fly, and a single and a run scored. Cut on and missed. 2nd strikeout for Whitgren, and there are 2 outs here in the 7th.
Well, Nick has come back on the scene and looks like he has not missed a day here at the major league level. Good fastball, good run. On there at 93. Trying to get that to the outside corner. He was not looking for a run. That's the 4-seamer. Nice job by Wallach holding on to the foul tip. So the arm side run. Sinker. Good changeup.
Ledmus Diaz again offering at the first pitch. That might be 3 of his 4 trips to the plate today. 6.5 in the books. 5-1. Wrapping things up against the Blue Jays, and then the Phils in town for 3 starting tomorrow, a Labor Day matinee. On the air at 12:30 with the Marlins Live pregame show. First pitch a little after 1 o'clock. Vincent Velasquez will go for the Phillies, and Jose Urena on the mound for the Marlins tomorrow afternoon. Again, Miami going with a 6-man rotation at the beginning of September here. So bring them today. Urena, Richards, and Sandy Alcantara will be back for the series finale against the Phils, and then Straley, Chen, and Brigham as the team will take to the road for a 3-city 10-day road trip once the Phils leave town. 6-1, bottom of the 7th on the way. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Craig Minervini, Kelly Sacco with you here on a Sunday afternoon. And let's check in with Kelly Sacco right now.
Thanks, Paul. Well, taking it back to the doubleheader in Atlanta, Perry Hill had a very interesting way to stay cool. What he did is he got a piece of lettuce and he put it underneath his helmet. And well, fans found that rather funny because a fan today actually brought that piece of lettuce to get signed, and you see it right there. That's Jacob. He had the chance to get Perry Hill to sign that piece of lettuce. He took a picture, he tweeted it, and there it is, guys. How about that? I mean, that must have been the first time to sign lettuce.
Yeah.
That. What was the weirdest thing that you've ever signed? Can you tell us?
I sure can, because I'll tell you what, not that eventful. Probably a hat or something. Yeah, I can't imagine it's much crazier than that.
Yeah,
I'm no rock star.
Shirts on bodies. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, in fact, I did a couple of those today, which I sometimes is a little odd. You know what I mean? Somebody's like, hey, I'm going to turn around. Please sign my back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're
just move your shoulder blade a little bit.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. You better get that. How is he going to be able to keep the autographed lettuce from spoiling?
Vacuum seal.
Does that work?
Yeah, you can freeze it up.
He's going to have to do something. I was looking at that. I was thinking, boy, well, that was fantastic. It's great of Bone to sign that, but that's going to be brown in a week. Won't be any more autograph. It'll look like the ink.
Is that one of those things where, all right, let's say you're signing an autograph. Somebody comes up to you with, I don't know, a piece of lettuce. And then like a baseball card or a ball or something else. Be like, can I have one like real autograph? Like one to tell the story that you signed produce for me, and one that I'll actually keep. Would you be okay with that?
Well, maybe the pick. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you don't really ever say no. I think it was fantastic. Bone signing and everything. I'm laughing because I'm like, what's that going to look like in a week?
Amazing. Bring lettuce and cabbage to the ballpark.
Well, he got that from the food room. If I remember, the story started on the road.
Right. You know, he told me, and now I forget, he told me the whole story of where it all began. It didn't start with Perry Hill. It started with somebody. It might have actually started with Freddie Gonzalez.
The story kind of made its way to Perry, and Perry's like, I'm going to do this because it's hot out there. And he's got to wear, they've got to wear that safety protective helmet. That's a heavy helmet right there. It's not, light like the players wear.
True. Stay cool.
Well, they don't need lettuce to stay cool.
No, they're always cool.
They're both cool as a cucumber. You saw that coming, didn't you?
Orange, you funny.
All right. 6-1, bottom of the 7th, 1 down. Here we go.
Just got to let it work its course. It's like a virus. You know what I mean?
Part of this I blame on Reed Foley. It's his fault. He came out today and has been as dominant as he's been in any big league start. He's pitched with conviction from inning number 1 on. He's had a good fastball, good slider, and occasional changeup. I'll tell you, scouting report was good. Of course, that's a little bit broader. Big league evidence said that Marlins should have had some better at bats today.
Well, he has kept them off balance and rather quiet from the get-go, striking out the side in the first inning. 3 of his 9 strikeouts. And now 10 as Wallach can't hold up.
That breaking ball once again out over the plate, but down in the zone. Wallach has a hard time holding up.
Yeah, I think he's having fun today. Oh, he didn't have a baseball.
He didn't
That's
have a
what it
baseball,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, everybody was staring at each other. Everybody thought everybody else had the ball. Now 10 strikeouts today. 6 have come on the fastball, 4 on the slider. Remember how this game started, and it kind of explains what Reed Foley's been able to do as his arsenal has opened up. His first 5 strikeouts of the ball game all came on the fastball, so 4 of his last 6 on the slider.
Sierra ground ball to Travis, pirouettes and gets Sierra a 1-2-3 7th inning. Perry Hill doesn't need produce to stay cool, not at all. 6-1.
Miami Marlins membership. It all starts here for the 2019 season with new rewards and experiences. Let's get access to exclusive off-season member events, one-of-a-kind memorabilia, and a chance to swing for your sweet seats. Marlins Park. Well, by September 14th, secure bonus savings and incentives. MarlinsEnrollment.com. I'll tell you what, it was a fun morning seeing all the new members. We talked about this a little bit during the day. A lot of fun games kind of going on the warning track, out for some early breakfast, some meet and greets, some pictures. A little silent auction.
And a fun day. Breakfast at the ballpark today, and Alfredo Amezaga, Alex Gonzalez, some alumni here, players walking around, and coaching staff. Don Mattingly out there. It's Javi Guerra's first pitch to Teoscar Hernandez, sent out to right center field, and it's Brinson to make the catch.
Yeah, that's the first one we've seen from Brinson since his return. Of course, it's only been a couple of ball games, but this should get us all back into the memory banks of how well he covers ground in center field at Marlins Park. Gets those strides going. 6'4" frame. Kind of like a wide receiver in the back of the end zone. Just running catch, route number 1.
Luke Maley takes a called strike. Hit by a pitch in the second, and a couple of doubles for Maley.
Maley, 2 double games. Third time that's happened in his career. fouled back. Still 0-2. I mentioned early on in this ballgame, and of course the Blue Jays have been, I guess, a little odd in maybe the scoring pattern today. I mentioned early that their first 3 runs all came on sacrifice flies. Of course, there was a 3-run homer there, so that's basically the Blue Jays scoring for you. But the first 3 runs of a game scoring on sacrifice flies, I was right. It doesn't happen often. You've got to go back over a year to see the last time that happened.
Is that right?
Yes, in fact, Texas at Philadelphia, May 17th of 2017. Now the Jays have done it 2 other times. I'm sorry, check that 1 other time. You got to go back to 2012, July 4th of 2012 versus the Kansas City Royals. First 3 runs scored on a sacrifice fly.
Hardly a fireworks display.
Yeah.
You know, working in my studio days, usually the rule of thumb is when you're cutting a highlight, leave the sac flies out.
Right.
They're just not very exciting. Defense is exciting, but Brinson's going to have to play this one off the wall. Another double for Maley. Has delivered all afternoon. 3 2-base hits.
And I'll tell you what, it's been a pretty impressive display because one has gone to left into the corner, one has gone to left center, which I guess you maybe can call that, and the other one's gone to right center. 3 doubles spraying it around Marlins Park. He said, I'm not trying for homers. You remember game 1 and 2, it seemed like the Blue Jays were a little bit surprised that their deep fly ball's not carrying out of here. It's been a laser show today.
Career high 3 doubles. And now Kevin Pillar will come in off the bench and take a called strike, batting for Sean Reed Foley, who went the first 7 innings of this ball game. His 3rd big league start. 7 innings, 4 hits, a run, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. Longest start, most Ks.
Pillar 2 for 4 pinch hitting on the season. 4 pinch hits in his career.
Action in the Blue Jays bullpen as Pillar fouls that one back. Thomas Pannone is up. To Castro. To third goes Maley with 2 outs. Back to the top of the order for Billy McKinney. He's reached base twice today. Singled and scored a run in the first inning. Walked in the second, and a couple of ground outs. Called strike from Javi Guerra. 4th pitcher of the afternoon for the Marlins. 3 innings from their starter Jeff Brigham in his major league debut. A couple of innings from Brett Graves. 2 clean innings from Nick Whitgren. And now Guerra. Last night, brilliant. Longest outing as a Marlin. 8 innings of work. In fact, back-to-back starts of 8 innings from Marlins starters. First time since May of 2014 that was the case. Straley on Friday. Chen last night. Prior to today, Miami's starters last 7 games 3-1 with a 1.99 ERA. The 0-2 pitch from Guerra. Nice play on the ricochet down there. Was that Schneid's? You know he's got good hands. It was off the netting, and he made the play. Maley away from third. Here's the 0-2 pitch on the ground to Riddle. And this game goes to the last of the 8th with the Marlins down by 5. Is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Lincoln. Join the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. 6-1 as we go to the last of the 8th inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, Craig Minervini, Kelly Sacco on a Sunday afternoon. Little work to be done here for the Marlins. They will go to the bench with the pitcher spot due up to lead it off. As Miguel Rojas will lead things off. Then JT Riddle and Brian Anderson against Thomas Pannone. 7th big league game.
.552 ERA. Just over 14 innings worth of work.
Outside to Rojas. New outfield for the Blue Jays. McKinney in left. Pilar stays in the game in center, and Grichuk moves over to right. Rojas 1 for 4 last night, 2 for 5 in the series. And Seats 2-2. Ben Meyer up for the Marlins. They should get the 9th inning after an innings worth of work from Javi Guerra. And Tyler Clippard for the Blue Jays. We've seen him close some games this year for Toronto prior to the acquisition of Ken Giles. Rojas held up 3-2. Rojas out to right field, and Grichuk will make the play for the first out here in the 8th.
Manage your dream team in franchise mode, plus get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone.
Back to the top of the order for JT Riddle. A bases loaded walk back in the 5th inning has accounted for the only Marlins run today. It was in that 5th inning where they had the bases loaded, nobody out. Only able to get that one run across. Against Sean Reed Foley, who had 10 Ks and 7 innings of work. That one line foul. We're talking about the interleague as the Marlins wrap up interleague play against the American League East with this ball game today. We're going by those division leaders or playoff bound clubs in the American League. Boston's 11-3 against the National League. The Yankees 11-9. Cleveland 12-8. Houston's 11-6 for a grand total of 45-26 as Riddle strikes out. All other teams, American League teams against the NL, 82-118. It's a .410 win percentage. So it's those 4 clubs that are.
Thank you for making my point.
That's what I'm here for, pal.
Top heavy.
Yes.
That was my 2-word response to the interleague play of 2018.
Anderson chops it wide of the third base bag. BA with 3 strikeouts today.
He's probably the one most excited that Reed Foley is no longer in the ball game. Reed Foley seemed to have his best stuff against Brian Anderson this afternoon. A couple of times Andy might have been thinking slider. He got the 2-seam fastball. When he was thinking 2-seam fastball, he got the slider, and boy, oh boy, Foley didn't miss his mark too often.
That one may have gotten the home plate umpire. And 0 for today for Anderson. But 30 doubles this year. Leads National League rookies. Phillies currently being shut out by the Chicago Cubs this afternoon. Mentioned the home run from Daniel Murphy, a solo homer. Anthony Rizzo, a solo home run. Well, Javier Baez with his 30th home run of the season. And with that, Baez now up to 100 ribbies on the year. Phillies in town starting tomorrow afternoon. This game goes to the 9th. deficit for Miami as we move to the 9th inning. Ben Meyer in. Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. The new Monopoly jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Meyer takes over. 5th pitcher for the Marlins this afternoon. One of these September call-ups, pitching in his 10th game this year. He'll face Devin Travis and then Kendrys Morales and Randall Grichuk here in the 9th.
For Meyer, starts the 4th stint with the Marlins this season. Good numbers at AAA for the most part. 15 games, 11 starts, 5-4 with a 4.24 ERA.
Travis a base hit in the 1st inning. Fly out, ground out, and strikeout. The West Palm Beach native. Grounds one to Riddle. Fires across, and Real Muto off the bag, says the first base umpire, Mike Winters.
Well, the throw just a little bit high. It's going to go as an error on JT Riddle. A little bit more specific on this exchange. You see JT Real Muto ranging high there, and that reach kind of pulls the right leg off, and he's just not unable to get it back down again.
Sixth error this year for Riddle. That'll bring up Kendrys Morales. Sac fly to get the scoring started back in the 1st for Morales. Of course, Morales started his career with the Angels, and I mentioned earlier the 211 home runs that he's got in his career. But there was that one walk-off grand slam that he had in 2010. He's celebrating at home plate. He goes to jump on home plate. Foot slips. Misses the rest of that season. All of 2011 with some setbacks along the way. But the last few years has been back. 21 homers now. 28 last year. 30 home runs in 2016. Seeing that, and of course all the Angels crowded around home plate, and walk-off grand slam and everything, jumping up and down, and all of a sudden everything just quiets down and he gets carted off.
Tell you what,
dribbler in front of home plate for Wallach. Well, the Coors Light refreshing finish the afternoon for Sean Reed Foley. 3rd big league start. He was in control from the jump.
Now set the stage with his fastball, opened it up with the secondary pitches as this went on, but I think got everybody's attention with just a lively fastball early in the ball game. Helping the defense there. Travis diving stop and throw to first. And then it was all about the breaking balls. That one there backed up just a bit, maybe not his best. Last 4 breaking ball. There you go. There's another one. Kind of the afternoon for the Marlins offense. As good as they had been in the first 2 ball games, speaking to the Marlins offense, that has not been the case here this afternoon.
Nothing in 1 to Randall Grichuk, who scored a couple of runs today. Line drive, deep left field, and over his shoulder, Ortega makes the play. Hustling back to second is Travis. Nicely done by Ortega.
Taking extra bases away from Grichuk, denying him a second double at least this afternoon. Nice job, never took his eyes off it. Good route, straight to the baseball. A little hop, skip, and a jump just before the wall. Look at the concentration, not even blinking. My goodness. Well done.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. takes low, ball in the dirt. 1-0 with Travis on at second. Second of the 3 sac flies. So Singleton scored in the 5th inning. Lined and caught. A leaping grab by Castro for the final out of the top of the 9th inning. Marlins some work to do. Last licks next. Against the Blue Jays. 6-1 our score. Change for Toronto as Justin Smoke comes into the ball game, taking over at first. JT Realmuto will lead things off. Starlin Castro and Rafael Ortega due up as Pannone is out for his 2nd inning of work.
Pannone worked a clean 8th, and give him the 9th as well.
Marlins have struck out 12 times this afternoon. 10 for the starter Reed Foley, and Pannone with a couple of strikeouts in the 8th. Realmuto to get it going here in the 9th. Takes upstairs. Ball 1. There's a strike. Another hit today for Realmuto. 3 trips. So he is 9 for his last 22. Double 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Here the Blue Jays will head home. They've got the Tampa Bay Rays for 3, the Cleveland Indians for 4. one skied out to the outfield grass, and now creeping in is Devin Travis for the first out. A friendly reminder to stay tuned for the WB Mason Marlins Live postgame show. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson in center field. We'll hear from Don Mattingly, get his thoughts on Jeff Brigham's major league debut. Threw a lot of pitches in those 3 innings. Gave up the 3 runs, walked 4, but hear from Donnie afterwards. We've already heard that Brigham's going to stay in the rotation, a 6-man rotation here in September. As Castro takes low. Castro had a hit in the 2nd inning. Now sends this one high in the air behind 3rd. And Gurriel makes the play. Marlins are down to their final out. The Marlins had scored 5 or more runs in 4 consecutive games for the first time this season. But they've got some work to do to extend that to 5. Rafael Ortega singled and scored in the 5th inning. Only run of the afternoon for Miami. Loops this one into right field. Another knock for Ortega.
Well, he continues to impress with the bat. It's his hits just about every time he steps on the field, gets a start. He produces in some way. 2nd hit of the game, 1 to center field today, now 1 into right. Going to extend this 9th inning.
Two for 4 today for Ortega, so 20 for his last 63, right around 300. Brinson takes a called strike. Brinson a base hit in that 5th inning. It's a charge into this one, right field, and that one's off the wall. Brinson on his way to 2nd base. Ortega held up at 3rd. Marlins making a little noise with 2 outs here in the 9th inning.
For Brinson, his best swing in 2 days. Fastball away, drives it away. Got a couple of base hits, obviously. Field hit yesterday, base hit center field today. Great swing, just misses a home run by a couple of feet the other way.
So Ortega at 3rd, Brinson at 2nd for Chad Wallach. Ball 1. Pitch to Chad Wallach, fouled right back to the backstop. Marlins are down to their final strike today. delivers. And swing and a miss to end this one. Blue Jays take the rubber match. 6-1 the final score this afternoon. So they take 2 out of 3. They'll again head home. They get back into American League play. The Marlins will stay home, get a night in their own beds, and then welcome the Philadelphia Phillies to town starting tomorrow afternoon. A 6-1 loss this afternoon for the Marlins. The Marlins Live postgame show coming up next.